Attention 5-9 gamers! We are back with another installment of your favorite Dokkan Battle podcast called the Dokkan Battle Podcast. I am your host, Toon Rami, and joining me this week, the international family guy himself, Talon.
Ohayou gozaimasu, minasan.
Part-time stand user and full-time Super Battle Road King, the Masked Ningen.
Yo, how's it going, everybody?
The homie who needs no introduction, Goresh.
What's going on, everybody?
Our beloved silent swordsman, Kensei.
What's good, everybody?
And that's it. Make sure you guys are locked in across all of our social media platforms and connect with the 59G network. Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube, join the Discord, Facebook, subreddit, website, everything. Also, check out our new feature on YouTube, the Shorts. Check them out. Make sure you guys are fully locked in today. With that said, let's jump in to episode 23, Bojack Inbound. Get it? Because Bojack Unbound? Inbound?
I see what you did there.
But let's not start with Bojack. Let's actually start with JP news. So over on the JP side, we've had about a week now to digest the new LR Go Frieza EZA. So Talon, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the unit? Is it everything you hoped and dreamed it could be? And how are you taking all of these new EZAs with the free-to-plays as well?
So starting off with the LR Goku and Frieza, I have no dupes into them. Links are like 5 and 6, so I think kind of what an average player might have. And yeah, they're pretty good. I think that might be the understatement, but I think they're pretty good. Obviously the links don't change or anything like that. They've always had a pretty good link set up with the other representatives of Universe 7 and everything. I guess if I wanted to nitpick it, which everyone always seems to do sometimes, I would just simply say it sucks that he doesn't get the attack and defense initially at the start of the turn. You have to attack. So he's definitely not a first slot unit that you want to use unless nobody's attacking before you get your first attack off. Other than that, though, he got the defense that he needed, that he desperately needed and everything. Still hits crazy high numbers and everything like that, and I've got absolutely no complaints. His stages were a little difficult, I think, near 9 and 10. Especially if you don't have the new LRs. So I am curious if anyone in the chat wants to let us know whether you're watching this live here on Twitch or if you're watching this over on YouTube later on. Let us know your thoughts. How did you beat it if you did not have the new LRs? So,
do you think the level of scrutiny that the unit received post-EZA was warranted given the fact that there was minimal changes in terms of the leader skill and the small adjustments that were made to the overall kit?
Go ahead, Gersh. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to jump in and just give my overall thoughts on this because I think they did a really good job at pinpointing the areas where they needed help. Because to be honest, if you look at how good they were already offensively, they didn't need more offensive power. They were already far above average, obviously, when you look at how much they were able to output in terms of their numbers offensively. They didn't need the boost. They weren't a unit where you were looking at them and you're like, wow, this unit needs an EZA. No, they were not in that camp. So I think they did a good job in pinpointing, defense. They definitely could have used a little bit of help there, and that's exactly what they got. And then also the other big area was key, because with the link level update that came out, you can no longer benefit twice from key links in slot 2, which is generally where you run this unit. As Talon talked about, you typically don't want to have them in slot 1 where they're going to be exposed before they can attack. So having them in slot 2 prior to the update allowed them to get their turn of power over to flash, all those links doubled up. And now after the update, they can't do that anymore. So I think the key every single turn, although it doesn't really feel as impactful in shorter events, it does add up over the course of the whole event. If you're running, turn 3 into the fight, you're getting 2 key if they're on rotation the first rotation there. So that does help them also. And you could even, technically, I guess, you could say that the other changes that they made didn't really directly impact their offense, but it impacted their offense in events where they weren't being used in. So, like, for example, the Legendary Goku event, where Goku was immune to having his attack lowered. Typically, you wouldn't use them in there prior to the update, or prior to their EZA. But now that they can benefit from the defense down, the stuns, the seals, all those things now play into the fact that they can get their full passive. You can use them in so much more locations that allows them to, look much more impressive elsewhere. So I think while their direct power didn't really go up that much, the areas where they really needed the boost, it's very, very clear that they're much better now.
It was a very smart and efficient upgrade, to say the least. And also, the event, the process to get the unit to that level seems to be streamlined as well. And I was going to ask you guys, this can be for anyone, global players as well. Do you guys feel like an accelerated version of the EZA event is more beneficial to the game of Dokkan, or do you think it was fine with the 30-round event? Because now it's been condensed to, what, 10, right? For the Goku Frieza EZA. Do you guys feel like a 10-round EZA moving forward should be the blueprint for future EZAs of maybe the LR caliber or something to that effect, or do you think it's fine just with 30?
I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I mean, for as good as EZAs are in this game, to ask you to do, like, what's the difference between doing 10 and 30 stages? Is an extra, like, 25 minutes of your time or something?
Yeah.
So I don't really know if it's a huge deal to necessarily, I guess, streamline it that much. I mean, sure, it's definitely better to have it as 10 stages, I think, because it's just less tedious.
Yeah.
But it's not like a change where I'm like, oh my god, finally. Like, EZAs used to be so annoying. Like, it wasn't like that. But I mean, if they want to drop it to 10 and then just triple the rewards for every stage, that's perfectly fine.
Honest, and I've been seeing a lot of people already in the chat right now saying that 10's better and everything, yada yada. You guys do have to remember, especially if you're someone who hasn't tried out you haven't tried the JP one out yet, is that for this LR one, I would say it actually took about as long as a normal 30 stage. Maybe not exactly, obviously, but I mean, even though it was only 10 stages, they had a lot of life. You know, you're not finishing this in 1 to 2 rounds like you are for the first 20 stages of a normal EZA. So it's about the same overall, give or take. Obviously not exactly, but you know, again, I have a feeling they're still going to keep the 30 stages for a normal Dokkan Fest EZA / someone like, you know, Physical Kale or anything like that. And then for any LRs going forward that get this kind of normal EZA, then they'll do the 10 stages. Because again, it was actually a bit of a challenge, especially if you don't have the new LRs. So like I said, let us know your thoughts. If you do not have the new LRs, how did you beat it if you attempted it?
Yeah, and then the other question is, are they going to keep that legendary power link as like the main special link for all the LR EZAs? That's the other question.
That could be good as well,
But yeah, I like the idea of just keeping it 30 for normal ones, and then for LRs, like having it only 10 stages, but making them a little bit harder. So like Talon said, it almost, not quite, but almost equates to like the same time and effort level because it's only 10 stages, but they're slightly harder. I think that makes sense as something to do for LRs. So I quite liked that.
Yeah.
And it was nice that, you know, they didn't jip out on the 30 stones. You still got 3 per stage instead of only getting 10. Because when I first saw it was 10 stages. Exactly. That was one of my first thoughts. And so it's good that they've done it like that.
Overall, there have been a lot of, I guess it's a bit dramatic to say, but revolutionary changes or adjustments made in the 6-year anniversary. Do you feel like this changes the game for Dokkan as far as content landscape moving forward? Things like, you know, this LR EZA thing that we've now started with the summonables. We've got Dokkan Fest EZAs dropping before the 120s are even concluded. Do you guys feel like this is going to be a steady thing moving forward, having things shaken up with random, outlandish EZAs taking place? Or do you think they're going to go back to the normally scheduled programming, if you will, with all of the, you know, the gradual power creep going up from the 120s onward?
I think they're going to be testing that. I mean, I think 6 year is like a test. So I can definitely see them doing it again during the worldwide campaign again. So like potentially we could get an EZA, an LR EZA once we have that worldwide campaign for both Global and JP. So I do expect them to, like, for future LR EZAs, I do think they're going to be like for a big celebration. Or they can just wait until for like next year, which I highly doubt it, but I can definitely see them doing that occasionally.
Yeah,
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the thing, it kind of throws the doors open for almost anything to possibly happen for celebrations now, because the UI Goku EZA especially, it was, I guess Goku and Frieza fit in the same category. Both of them are things that we wouldn't expect, but obviously the units were very like on theme with the point of the celebration. So it means if we get a celebration that is so centrally themed around one thing, even if they're not going to suddenly put them on like a sort of, you know, ready accelerated schedule like the 120 leads, but like we could just see like a celebration that is very heavily themed around a specific thing, and then suddenly like a a category leader who fits within that theme then suddenly gets an easy A in that celebration. Like, that kind of thing is now on the table for being a possibility.
Yeah, I think when it comes to things like easy A's and stuff like that, obviously on global you know what's coming from looking at what's happening on JP, but to a degree you could really do the same on JP for certain things like easy A's, because we get into the whole 120 easy A era. 99.9% of people were just like, okay, yeah, they're just going to finish all the 120 leads, and then after that, then we'll move on to the category lead. Obviously, that's not what happened. So I think the biggest thing that this actually does for the community is it adds a bit of uncertainty as to what's coming next. And obviously, you could say the same thing for the LR Easy A as well. So I think this is more so, I mean, you could argue that the UI Goku didn't really need an Easy A that badly. Especially when you compare him to somebody like, I don't know, the in Goku Black or Tech Hit or something like that, one of those units. There's units that deserve one, I think, more than the UI Goku did. So it depends on how they want to handle this moving forward, but we could see Easy A's for category leaders that need the Easy A more than somebody like Physical Cooler does, because Physical Cooler is really, really good and he doesn't really need one as bad as in Goku Black. So if they want to go ahead and just skip over some of those units for later and just save them for later, I think that would probably benefit people more, because you could go ahead and Easy A Physical Cooler now, or you could go ahead and Easy A in Goku Black now, who's going to be just way more benefited from from the buff that he's getting.
Hey Talon, sorry to break it to you, buddy. Looks like Royal Blue's not getting his Easy A.
Yeah, I know. It's official. This anniversary's trash, man. It's trash.
Yeah. The 6-year anniversary is trash. So
it's trash.
With that being said, the 6-year anniversary is pretty much wrapping up at this point. Are there any particular Dokkan Fest celebrations you guys would want to see coming up, or is there something that you would suspect would be coming up next after what is seemingly the pinnacle of Dragon Ball, right? The Tournament of Power, mastering Ultra Instinct or achieving Ultra Instinct true form. Like, where do you go from there? What is the next Dokkan Fest for JP?
I know people have been saying it forever, but honestly, I think Sand Day, would be the, base Vegeta versus base Goku, the other Earthlings and everything like that. I think kind of OG, I was gonna say OG Dragon Ball, but that's not OG Dragon Ball, obviously, but OG, like Dragon Ball Z, like the beginning and everything like that. I don't think Raditz, obviously, that's really not gonna do well probably, but a Vegeta and a Goku, that definitely can, or something like that. So
a lot of times Legends and Dokkan release similar units around the same time. I think a lot of times it is coincidence, and I don't really buy into the idea that it's like, oh, somebody's behind the scenes is operating, telling people what to release for the game. But I think, there might be something related there, and we're getting a banner tonight on Legends, which is Demon King Piccolo and the Second Coming Broly.
Yep.
I think what we could see, well, at least that's what I'm hoping for. Again, it's impossible to actually predict this because nobody knows. I'm hoping that we get some kind of Demon King Piccolo Dokkan Fest who definitely deserves it. He would have to be a younger one, because the old one we already have an LR4 from the World Tournament who's actually pretty good. So hopefully it would be like a young Demon King Piccolo as one Dokkan Fest. That would be the one before Saiyan Day, and then leading into Saiyan Day we could get a Broly from movie 8, which is his first movie, which I think the only movie 8 Broly we have in the game at all is the physical one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe like I've been saying this for a while too, like Broly and Paragus, base Broly, and then Paragus unit that exchanges into just LS, like Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, who crushes the pod and kills Paragus. Like, that's like a perfect unit, I think, for a Saiyan Day.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. And I was going to say, you don't think that the Demon King Piccolo would be a good way to kind of jump back into the whole Majunior Goku discussion, but
yeah,
man,
they could do that as well.
Forget that, dude. I want to see Broly crush Paragus over and over and over as an active skill.
And then something also to keep in mind as well is, if they're going to follow the same sort of chronological pattern that they've done in previous years, where they're leading up to the worldwide download celebration or the download celebrations, they're going to have to start doing that at some point. Last year they started at New Year's because, Majin Buu Saga takes forever to get through it all. And then prior to that, we had leading into the Cell games with I think it started with Namek Goku after Golden Week. I think is when that started.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They're gonna have to start doing that at some point if they want to keep that same pattern moving forward. So we could see that start at any point from this point forward. So just keep your eyes open for that.
Any other hopes and dreams for the first Dokkan Fest post 6 year?
Nah.
Honestly, what I want for Saiyan Day is a God Goku. Like, there is no Dokkan Fest God Goku in at all, so that's what I want, honestly. Like, that form has been getting shafted in this game for some reason, because we don't have a anniversary God Goku unit.
Tech God Goku's a good card. He's good.
I mean, he's good, but I want a Dokkan Fest with an after skill.
All right.
Yeah, I want them to do
LR one.
Plus the LR, the Intel LR is pretty good still.
Because we have, is it one? It's like I guess there's a couple of cards that do it now, but the one that transforms, we got that Super Saiyan 3 Goku that drops to base. Like we haven't seen many transformation cards of like the units that drop like forms as opposed to going up forms. But the one that I really want to see, and I feel like it would be a normal active skill rather than a revival, because even though we've seen that new mechanics for the anniversary often come to global slightly early because of the way they mess around with the schedule, I feel like it probably would still be an active skill. I know this is, for all those people out there who like the dubs, but there's that awesome moment in the Battle of Gods movie. I want to see a God Goku who drops down into base, and then you use the active skill where he's underground fighting Beerus, and it goes into the where he screams, "I will not let you destroy my world," and then it starts playing that like awesome OST, like that as an active skill. It'd be so good.
And then potentially that could we could get the revival mechanic to global early.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying, is that would be perfect for that, but I don't know if they would necessarily bring the mechanic that early to global. But either way, as a revival skill or an active skill, I think that would be awesome.
So I was kind of expecting you were going to say what I was going to say, so hear me out on this one. Kind of along the same lines, the whole revival-ish mechanic. And it's revolving around Revival of F. So it's basically Goku, Blue Goku. If you die using Blue Goku, you have a time reversal or temporal do-over with Whis, and then Vegeta substitutes in. Oh wait, no, it's the other way around.
Yeah,
Vegeta goes first, and then if you die, the temporal do-over, and then Goku switches in.
Your revival animation would literally be the Earth exploding and then time being reversed.
Yeah.
That's also an interesting scheduling thing to talk about as well, because in the 5th year anniversary, we didn't really get a new mechanic, so to speak. We got the skill orbs, right? That's sort of what the new thing that they brought to the game was. But, this year we actually have like a new passive mechanic, which is the revival skills. So if we're going to be doing Saiyan Day at the same time, assuming we are this year again, which we have been for the past like 2 or 3 years now, if we're doing that again this year, are they going to bring a unit that has a revival skill out for both versions? Like that's a question we have to ask, because last year Bardock didn't matter. Bardock did not, because again there was no new mechanic really for the 5th year. And that sort of plays into the question as well, is how often are they going to be releasing revival skill mechanics on units? I don't think it's going to be as often as like active skills or transformations. I think it's going to be more limited because you can only do it once per fight. But if they want to go ahead and explore that, Saiyan Day unit having a revival skill mechanic, then Global's going to get that. So,
yeah, that's what
I would say. The reason why I say that, because remember we got the LR Gold Bros first coming to Global, and that was our first after skill unit, and so they could potentially give us a first revival mechanic us Global as the God Goku from the movie. So that was my thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is they've done that a few times now with the schedule affecting like new mechanics coming to global, because obviously the 3-year anniversary was the transformations, and then of course Global got the awakening for UI Goku early in the schedule before the anniversary, so he was the first transforming unit on global. So they've done that a few times now. And yeah, that's the thing, is I don't know if they would do another revival skill character so quickly after the anniversary, but that is, like Gresh said, that was kind of my original point. Like, if they do that for Saiyan Day, then that means it will come to global too.
I'm totally bad with dates, but was Go Bros actually the first active skill, or was it Pan?
Well,
No, it was
JP
GoBros.
was yeah for JP was B-Pan, for
Yeah,
Global
'cause-
was Gobros.
Yeah, because
Oh,
B-Pan
okay.
came out just before the anniversary, and then she came out in a similar time frame for Global. But then,
Well,
the
Global-
GoBros came out way before.
Yeah, Global had GoBros, and then even Kid Goku was also before the anniversary.
Yep.
Yeah.
So which do you think is more likely to happen? Do you think that they are more likely to follow the whole Legends schedule and do something along those lines, or do you think we're more likely to get a God Goku of some kind because of the whole game app icon thing that's been going around? Which do you think is more likely if you had to choose one of those?
The Legends thing, because
Legends thing, yeah.
You can
I'd
take
say
a look
Demon
at
King
what
Piccolo and then Broly.
Yeah, you can take a look at what's happened for the app icon stuff in Legends.
Yeah.
They've changed their app icon like 7 billion times, and it's never meant a single thing ever. It's never ever correlated with anything the game's ever done. So I don't really think it has any meaning to it. And then something else, just quickly changing topics once again to go off track, just
Go ahead,
quickly, is keep in mind that whatever JP gets for their next Dokkan Fest most likely is going to come to Global before the anniversary. Because remember,
Yep.
Kid Goku released after the 4-year, and then we got him, prior to that anniversary. JP gets Beerus after
then
the
Beerus,
5-year.
yeah.
Global gets
Yep.
Beerus before the anniversary. So whatever we get, or whatever JP gets after their anniversary, in the next few days here, it's coming up pretty soon. Global's going to be getting that most likely before the 6-year. So
Have fun if it's Demon King Piccolo there, Goresh. I know you're gonna rainbow that guy before the
Oh, yeah.
anniversary.
yep, I'll happily do so.
Speaking of what's coming up on Global, let's talk about the unit that is occupying the title for this episode. Bojack is inbound, folks. STR Bojack, aka the Cooler Clone, is on the way to Global, and we are excited. That's all I'm going to say. So, guys, what do you think about the Bojack? Are you actually genuinely excited, or are you quotation marked excited? Ningen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I would say I am somewhat. Obviously, I am slightly more now because I actually finally managed to pull LR Teles. Because one of the things
same
I
here.
noticed was I made up the team that I would probably most likely run if I pull Bojack, and then I realised that I can literally run that team with Cooler instead of Bojack. But the main difference is that because some of the units like Teles are not on transformation boost, Cooler doesn't support them if you're only fighting one enemy. And that's one of the areas I think where Bojack has a slight edge over Cooler if you want to build the team in such a way where you're just using the leader as like a floating support unit, is he supports like his own category all the time, and then the more opponents you have, he gives more of a buff, whereas obviously Cooler, depending on the number of enemies, gives the buff to different categories. So it's one of those things. It'll be interesting. Like Space Traveling Warriors is a really good category. It's got a lot of interesting options for team building. It's a little bit of a shame that he only has 150 for Time Travelers, so we're still waiting for like a proper category leader for that team. But yeah, I'm definitely interested. Although one thing I will say, I feel like we have to take this L, as much of a proud global main that I am. But what is with the English version of that active skill?
I was just about to say, that's why I'm hyped for him, dude.
So I still haven't heard that. What is the deal with that? What's going on?
So the voice line isn't that bad, but yeah, there's like the roar when he powers up as like the end of the active skill. It sounds so like phoned in. It's really bad.
Really? Oh, man.
It's really
dude,
bad.
it's awesome. I love it.
I need to go check it out. I'll do something about it. Man, so is it not a bad... So a lot of people put... they threw the LR Jiren under the bus because of how similar he was to the Gogeta. Is it fair to scrutinize a unit before even using him, just based on the fact that their passive or their overall kit might be similar to another unit? Haven't we reached a point where we've pretty much covered all we can, or should we expect them to be creative with each and every unit that they release at this point?
I think the answer is no for each and every unit. But when you're talking about a Dokkan Fest exclusive unit, you kind of want more creativity or more, I guess, ingenuity when it comes to their design. I think in this case specifically, I think I was less critical on this character when he came out on JP, when he was revealed, just because of the fact that I think the design overall for Cooler is actually pretty good, and there's not really much that needs to be changed for him specifically. So if there's any unit in the game that they want to sort of copy and they do it for Cooler, I'm not completely like against that. I think, especially when you're considering a character like Bojack, who not necessarily isn't the best or most hyped unit that exists in this universe. Like, Bojack is just not going to sell well. That's just unfortunately what it comes down to at the end of the day. So if they're going to copy a unit and they think, Cooler is one that's sold well, we think we designed him well, and they, figure out that that's what they want to do, then I'm actually not that opposed to it. I'm somebody who's always striving for them to just do more creativity with the units. But in this case, I'm actually not that, I'm not that bummed out about it.
Plus, it's just an awesome card. I mean, STR. I mean, anyone who's watched Truce videos or mine, like STR Bojack. There's something about STR Bojack. The fact that not only does he power up the incredible, already strong Extreme STR, then he basically makes Goku Black obsolete, which is totally fine by me. The combination of space traveling warriors and time travelers actually works really well together. Because there's a lot of time travelers that are actually on space time traveling warriors. And the team actually mixes really well and everything like that. So, yeah, he's an awesome card. I mean, again, you're never going to hear me complain that somebody is made similar to Cooler. Yes, I know it's not original and everything like that, but you know what? Somebody who can you have the choice to either keep him as a support unit that's off rotation, or you make him just a complete powerhouse. I mean, the dude made into Bojack just soar through the roof in terms of how good that guy is now, combined with the link updates and everything like that. Like, that dude is crazy good now. So yeah, he's awesome. He seriously is. I know a lot of people are not going to summon for him. I know a lot of people are going to skip him on global and everything like that. Yada yada yada. But you guys are missing out. He's an awesome card.
I think the interaction that Cooler's pre-transformation, I mean, it's basically the same thing, Bojack and Cooler. The interaction that those two units have with their pre-transformations as opposed to their post-transformations, that's what an active skill should be. You have to determine whether or not you want a very hard-hitting unit or a unit to support your team. And the ability to be flexible in that regard is like the most valuable part about these units.
Yep, exactly. And it shows that he's going to continue, he's gonna soar through any power creeps going forward. Just like Cooler does. Cooler is obviously he's been surpassed obviously in power. We all called it a long time ago, but he's still a support unit for one of the best categories in the game, transformation boost. So, yeah, guess what?
Yeah, and then I mean, the similar thing with Bojack. You could even look at space traveling warriors as a potentially even bigger category than transformation boost. Plus, he's giving 170 across the board. I mean, let's take a look at this category real quick. Or space traveling warrior. Got Baby. You got Bojack. You got Jiren on here. Beerus is on here. Turles. Every Frieza is pretty much going to be on here.
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, and then you could even bring in his secondary leader skill with time travelers. I mean, that's a giant category. You got
all
every
the heroes
cell.
Cards, pretty much.
Yeah, all the heroes cards. You got every single cell. You have Demon King Piccolo on there. I mean, this guy's leader skill is like one of the better leader skills in the game, easily.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes him an attractive, summon choice. If you're somebody who maybe you whale or you just got really lucky, if you have Jiren and Turles, there you go. The fact
I do.
The fact that you can run them with their best link partner on a team and then have the double leads as floating units that support those rotations, it's 170 across the board is huge as well. So it's the two, if we discount, not include Dokkan Fest LRs in the conversation, because obviously that muddies the waters a little bit, but talking about just legendary summon banner, yellow coin summonable LRs, you got the two best LRs on global probably with their best link partner on a team, and then the other three units are just supporting both those rotations. Pretty insane power level team. So yeah, I feel like it's a tough skip if you've got all of those units.
It sounds like for your future enjoyment of the game, it might benefit you to potentially pull on this banner to maybe get that Bojack.
Well, a lot of people are wondering what is going to replace the Tech Ultimate Gohan, because
I think that's a big
he was
thing.
in the last banner. So
I feel like, unfortunately, because obviously no one would have expected, and we did talk about this back when it came out, but I mean, somebody guessed in one of the group chats that I'm in, they're like, oh, they'll stick Tech Gohan on Gogeta's banner, and I was like, there is literally no way that will happen. and that's what they did. So I mean,
Maybe Cooler could be
Gohan,
in the
I feel
banner?
like Gohan gave Bojack's banner so much extra value that him not being there, I can't think of someone off the top of my head other than physical Frieza or Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, both of which would be almost impossible. No other unit you can replace him on that banner without that banner then going down in value, which I think is unfortunate.
I think maybe we're looking at like Tech Boo.
Heck, oh, really? You think? For the
He's
dual
never come
Dokkan
back
Fest?
on Global. Yeah.
That's
Has
true, yeah.
Gotenks hasn't yet either, has he? Because they
No.
Yeah, Gotenks
normally
not.
return at the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, I guess, because a lot of people, because of how sort of we've talked about that in the past, how like unhype the those banners are by the time they come to global. I feel like a lot of people missed out on those units, so I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to Boo replace it, because I wanted, me personally, I wanted Gotenks more than Boo. So I think I only did like the one
Link update
rotation on
laughs in your
Boo's banner.
face.
Well, I pulled the LR. Well, that's the problem is because I pulled the LR during the worldwide celebration, so it automatically made me not need the tech one.
Yeah, same here, yeah.
What if
Even
they
though the
just
tech one
didn't?
is the better leader skill. So.
What if they just didn't change the banner?
If they didn't change the banner, that would obviously be.
Gohan coming back twice for people? Damn. That'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that keeps the value there, I guess, but it's. I mean, I think it wouldn't be the first time ever, would it, that a unit has been on back-to-back Dokkan Fest banners, but yeah, I don't know. I guess. Imagine if it was like physical Frieza, though.
Oh,
I feel like that's incredibly unlikely, but just imagine. Like...
Tech Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta.
Oh, well, yeah,
God.
it'll be transforming Frieza, of course. But yeah, then of course the other big thing that's worth mentioning is Global continuing the train of W's. We've got another Pilaf Trove ticket thing, which I remember when that first started and it happened. It might have been 2 banners in a row, I can't remember. The conversation came up of like, oh, is this going to be a thing that they do regularly on Global now? And then they kind of didn't do it for a few banners in a row. But now this will be the 3 most recent like big ticket Dokkan Fest banners, and like I would have bet like Frieza at the time that he came out, and obviously he is a really good unit and people were hyped for him, but his was a good banner to have a ticket. Gogeta I didn't think would have one, just because I feel like they would have known people really wanted to summon for him regardless. And then the fact that he did, and yeah, obviously now Bojack is as well, so it definitely seems like we're on track for that to be a more regular thing, which I think is good overall.
Wasn't the Gogeta ticket like $8 and it was like 7 characters or something? It wasn't like really
the
bad.
Frieza and the Gogeta one were the same, so I feel like the Bojack one's going to be the same thing again.
Do you think Bojack will have discounted multis?
See, again, that I would say the exact same thing for Gogeta. Like, if you were going to say one of these 3 Dokkan Fest banners is going to have the first 3 multis discounted, I would instantly say, well, it's not going to be Gogeta, because he's the most hype one. And that was the one that got them. So, I mean, at this point, I think we're in a position where you can say, if Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta banner, which they made infinitely better by putting Gohan on it, can have discounted multis, then I don't see any reason why the Bojack one couldn't. Especially because it's right before Saiyan Day, so
True.
Also
I feel
because
like
it's
they want to
Bojack.
bait out stones. And that as well, yeah, because if a hype character is going to get discounts, then a character that they probably expect is nowhere near as hype as Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and is right before a massive celebration. I feel like, yeah, they're going to try and do whatever they can to tempt people into summoning.
We really called Sand Day a really hyped celebration anymore these days.
Well, the thing is, you got to remember for global, even if as long as the unit is not bad or not boring, it's always hype because it's like dual, out at the same time kind of thing. There's always that extra level of hype for global players. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to what it's going to be. And so, yeah, I think they're definitely trying to tempt people with having Bojack drop like 2 weeks before.
The Sunday unit.
Let me change gears a little bit, but we're still on the topic of Bojack. This is something that I spoke to Goresh about a few months ago, actually, not a few months ago, a while back, when the whole Link level update happened. So I was checking out the Bojack as you guys were discussing the unit, and I remembered the Heraclan Link. It is a very small, very focused link, only applying to maybe, 5 or 6 units in the entire game, most of which are completely worthless. Do you guys think that with the releases of these types of units, like Bojack or other just non-super popular units, do you think they should also come with a potential renovation of a particular Link skill or some sort of outdated stat line that just can use more value? Because now that Bojack is relevant, you would be noticing a Link that's just never firing. So do you think that this should be something that they focus on at some point, where they try to make older Links that just don't age well more relevant?
Well, that's
Like
sort of what they
Heraclan?
did. That's sort of what they did with the update already. Because take a look at Heraclan. Take a look at Galactic Warrior. Like those Links that historically have been Bojack-specific Links are, you're only going to have them linked up with another Bojack to get them activated. But when you get those Links activated, they're like the best Links in the game, right?
Yep.
So they're not flexible in terms of how often you're going to have them activated. But when you get them activated, you're going to notice a significant jump in your stats.
Yeah.
So
Is the trade-off worth it for Heraclan, though? Because at max Link, it's Ki +2, attack, and chance of crit +5%. Is that worth the Heraclan Link?
Yeah, I've said that's
Yeah,
one of the
it
best Links
is,
in the
yeah.
game.
Yeah, I can tell you from personal experience with that Heraclan Link activated now between Bojacks and everything. My guys, I only have one dupe into my STR Bojack, and that dude is critting like every other attack or almost every attack.
Keep in mind, the Coward Link also gives a 5% chance to crit. So with those two Links alone, you're getting a 10% chance to crit from your Links, which is not something that you ever see.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's almost the same as like Turles, with obviously, for most people, not going to have the TUR of the LR.
Yeah, Destroyer of the Universe.
They have links like Destroyer of the Universe, exactly, which at level 10 is really, really good. And then, of course, AGL Turles is also a support unit. So there's that trade-off of you can make LR Turles look absolutely ridiculous if you put him next to the AGL, but then you have to be a little bit more careful because the AGL is not as sturdy a unit.
Let's
and
not
then, it's
forget
kind of
the
like,
best Link in the game. Big bad
Berserker.
bosses.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, that's as well.
Big bad
Berserker,
bosses.
get out of here. 5 minutes in the corner there for saying that. 5 minutes. Sensei demands it. Go.
But
I
yeah,
was gonna
obviously,
say,
big bad bosses is a big plus as well, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say you can compare something like Heraclan to Shocking Speed. Shocking Speed is Ki +2 and 5% defense at level 10. Heraclan is Ki +2 and then attack +5% and critical hit chance +5%. So which is better? I would argue the Heraclan is just straight up better than Shocking Speed.
Yeah, Heraclan's way
Heraclan,
better.
that's not even a competition.
And then everybody always talks about how Shocking Speed's so good. You know, I wish this unit had Shocking Speed over this Link. And yeah, you probably want them to have that because it's more accessible and more flexible for the teams they can run them on. But when you actually get these Links active, like Heraclan, Galactic Warrior is Ki +2 and attack and defense +20%. I mean, you compare this big bad bosses, it's actually not even. I would say Galactic Warrior is probably better when you get that active than big bad bosses. You're giving up 5% attack and defense for 2 Ki. That's really good for an LR.
Yeah, exactly.
Linked up alongside like LR Bojack, for instance. But again, the trade-off is that you're not going to have these active as often. So that's why they made them as good as they are.
Yeah. Gives
So
you that
Talon-
incentive to run, like, because if you think LR Bojack, I always thought that he aged well. I know some people, I feel like he's a little bit underrated, and then Bojack coming out, the Dokkan Fest one, gave him a little bit of a second lease of life, at least in people's eyes. But yeah, that right there is like the incentive to run him on the team, because you're going to get all those extra links active. And yeah, I've had mine was finished a little while ago, but my LR is level 10 links ready to go for the potential pulling of Bojack.
Talon, you said the best Link in the game is big bad bosses, right?
Yep. Level 10.
Level 10?
10. Yeah.
Did you know that there's another Link that matches big bad bosses at level 10?
And that would be?
The new Frieza army.
Oh, that's the GOAT Link.
God.
Frieza Sorbet, get this, Frieza Sorbet, the TUR and the SSR, R Tagoma, R Sorbet, and R Red Bull.
Red Bull, I love that name.
all right, Tune. All right, you and I, let's race. All right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna run
let's
my
race with
Bojack
these units.
team right
Let's do
now
it.
and everything. You can
Yeah.
run your rare team. We'll see
Let's
how
do
well
it.
that goes for you.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Bet.
I don't
Also
even know what
want
that link
race.
does. What does that link do anyway? I don't even know what that
Attack
link
and
does.
defense plus 25%. What's funny is at level 1, it's attack and defense plus 20%. So the entire gradual increase of the unit, it's just increasing stats. There's no HP restrictions. So technically, this Link is superior to big bad bosses.
I mean, you're gonna be loving that Link when we get LR Red Bull. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're gonna be getting wings too. All right, so let's also talk about something else hype happening on Global. We are getting the TUR for Hachiyak and Whis, those two Hero Extermination event units, free to play. Woo! So any fleeting thoughts about the new powerhouse that is Hachiyak? Anything at all?
Hachiyak.
Forget about him. No one cares about him.
Yeah,
No, I was going to say, don't worry for everybody out there who's a massive fan of the physical Hachiyak. The name changes, so you can actually farm up a second one. Ooh. You can have them both together because he becomes Super Hachiyak when he becomes
Are they messing with the rates on the event, by the way? Because the events were pretty terrible on getting those units to begin with. Are they adjusting the rates?
I feel like it definitely felt like it was better.
They didn't on JP.
They did.
At least not to my knowledge. They didn't.
Yeah, because the day it was announced, I went and checked mine, and even though you needed that physical Hachiyak for a couple of the Hero Extermination, like Extreme Z areas, I didn't realize mine was literally SA1 with no paths open, and I farmed all the extra copies to get him to SA10 and opened the 4 paths in like less than a full stamina bar. And I definitely remember the rates being a lot worse than that in the past, so it wasn't too painful for me. And then obviously the Whis.
Whis is actually
ever
really
since
good.
he first came out,
Ever
since he first came out, I think he's been useful. I think he was the first like free-to-play unit that I ever rainbowed. He's always been kind of useful. So even back with like the OG AGL Super Battle Road. Like,
I said low key like one of the best super attacks in the game. The whole Whis like getting angry face and just right in the chest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this unit has got me out of a lot of sticky situations in Super Battle Road. Because this was like my best friend. When I first started doing Super Battle Road, I just didn't know how to do anything. And we saved me many, many, many times. So
do you know the one thing?
He's a very good card. Very good card.
Yeah.
The one thing that stands out to me that is really, really good with him is like you said, like I've used him in Super Battle Road, used him in the OG like Super AGL. I don't think I used him in the Extreme AGL because one of the things that I've noticed that can happen is you get that free heal. That's kind of one of the main reasons you bring him on the team. But then the problem can be if you're going into a fight or you're going into like turn 2 on Super Battle Road, you can get his heal off. But then there are so many attacks in that turn, you can't put him in a spot where he's not going to get hit. And then even from normal attacks, he takes like 100k. So you end up losing most of the health that he just got you back. And obviously the TUR, now that he gets his awakening, on that turn where he gives you the full heal, he gets a 70% chance to dodge for that turn. So it like completely shores up that like one issue that he had. Because sometimes, like I say, he can literally give you that heal and then you pretty much lose it all again that turn. So the fact that they gave him that like kind of fixes that. And of course, doesn't he have like the built-in chance to do an additional super, which is obviously useful because he can stun. And he can stun, so getting an additional super attack is always nice for that as well. So he becomes
200% defense.
Yeah, he becomes even more useful for Super Battle Road because Super AGL for ESBR is definitely one of the ones I think that people find the hardest, up there with Extreme Tech. So he's going to be another like useful option for people, especially because he's free to play.
Looking forward to some videos, King. All right, folks, that is going to wrap up the show for the first half, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be answering your questions right after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, guys. So again, we want to say thank you so much to all of the subs and everything that we were able to get during this part of the podcast before we get into our questions. So first, shout out to all the new subs or returning subs if you're subbing for either continue on 1 month, 4 months, however long. We appreciate all of your support. And obviously, even if you just simply follow the channel, you know, we obviously know not everyone can sub, but just simply hitting that follow is much appreciated. So first off, though, special shout outs to 5-9 Gaming Funny Clips, JC the Fallen, Dr. Striker, Thanos Energy, some random dude named Kensei. We have no idea who that dude is, but whatever. GN, Last Strike, Mass Doctor, and the Fat Brown Kid. Thank you so much for all of the amazing subs. And then actually we had a bunch of gifted subs actually. From Hannigan, he had 5 gifted subs, and then we had Blaze 39,000. He had 4 gifted subs as well. So thank you so much. So other than that, we don't have any ads at this moment. So go ahead and take it away, Toon.
Thank you, Talon. Folks, a couple of days before the show, we like to throw out a question out there. Not really a question, more like a tweet. or a Discord message or a YouTube community post letting you guys know that the show's coming up so that you guys can post your questions. So for this week, we'll be checking through the Twitter questions, and we will start with the Golden Steelix. Wait, the Golden Sleetix. Didn't read that right. The Golden Sleetix asks, since Int UI Goku got his EZA, what other category leads would you like to see EZA besides the obvious Int Goku Black?
STR Gohan.
STR
STR,
Gohan?
yeah, I feel like STR Gohan
Yeah.
needs it even more than Goku Black does.
True.
Tech
Oh,
hit.
actually, Tech Hit. Yeah, yep.
yeah. I actually have a friend who's link leveling Tech Hit because he's convinced that he's going to get one.
That's pretty funny.
Poor guy.
Watch him get the Super Saiyan 3 Broly treatment, and he still doesn't get defense.
Oh god, yeah.
I'll be sad.
I actually think an EZA for the physical Super Saiyan 2 Kefla would be a good. Even though she's not a
That'd be
Dokkan
a good
Fest
one.
unit, she actually could be like a sleeper, really, really good EZA.
She could. Yeah.
That would be one devastating nuke. A self-sufficient nuke, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she could be really good. And obviously there's that whole, like, she's the only Super Saiyan 2 Kefla in the game. So that'd be super useful, I think.
I totally think it's got to be STR Gohan. That unit drives me insane, and that needs to be fixed immediately because I hate the fact that I can never use a Hybrid Saiyan's team and enjoy myself using it. So, yeah, fix that.
Right,
That's
That's
Gohan.
what Tech
Use
Gohan
Tech Gohan
or
now,
in
yeah.
future Gohan's for, because they both
Basically,
use
But
the
I
same
want
category.
that unit to be worth using. I don't want him to just sit there and collect dust.
The
I want
thing
him
is
to
that
be-
then
I mean,
they don't even need to do that much. Just bump up his
Yeah.
stats a little bit and make the
Yeah.
guard 100% instead of
Yep.
chance to guard.
And give
And then
him some
he
ki for
instantly
crying out
becomes
loud.
good.
yeah, keep it as well.
Give him some
Good
keys.
God.
Keep us 3.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about the STR Ultimate Gohan is that once we start getting into the category Dokkan Fest exclusive units, their stats are really high. So like STR Ultimate
Yeah.
Gohan, his attack is already 17,100. So he's gonna have over 20,000 attack most likely when he gets his EZA,
Yeah.
which is like LR territory, and that's why in UI Goku, even though you don't really think he's gonna be hitting like an LR, he does because his stats are, I think his attack's over 20,000 when you have him fully rainbowed EZ8. So
Dude, level 10 links at when you if you get him to transform turn 1, Super Bad Road style, obviously, dude hits like 5 million attack just off the bat. You're just like, oh, all right, nice.
All right, let's move on to the next question brought to us by Zeno. Zeno asks, what summonable LRs do you each want to get an EZA, including their changes and reasoning?
I mean, the top one is, for me, is AGL Margin for Gia, because I always find
yeah,
it funny that they redid his super attack, but they didn't do anything else to the card. So when he got his super attack revamp, he was still pretty much unusable in the meta, which I find hilarious that they updated him, but you still don't ever use him. So I would very much like for him to get one.
I would like
would
STR
say-
LR Broly.
I was gonna say Trunks and Goten. I don't think they're the unit that is the weakest summonable LR. I think there's some that
close.
are you could probably warrant are lower than them in terms of power level, but I just don't enjoy using them. I think their whole links,
Kit.
the links in the kit, just they aren't fun to use, and I just want them to revamp them because you could just like their unit with like that random key at the start of turn like that. That's a cool mechanic. I don't think any other unit has that mechanic.
No.
And they could really create something fun and exciting out of that if they actually like tried to make a fun unit out of that. So like that's a building block they can build off of, and I think they dropped the ball heavily when they released them.
Yeah,
I
because
just love how-
they
Go
fit
ahead.
into that. They're like you said. There's a couple of LRs that I think need it just because we've touched on this before. But there are so many LRs now that the problem is there are certain LRs that fall into that category now. Where if you do a summon on a legendary banner and you pull one of those particular LRs, it's not even like a hype pull. It's disappointing.
LR Trunks.
And they need to make.
LR Trunks is gonna be mine. That was gonna
Yeah,
be
Any
my
of the
Margin
OG
same here.
90s. Any of the OG 90s, basically. They need EZAs badly.
Yeah, sort of. Because, like, for example, fairly recently, a couple of legendary banners ago, or whatever it was, it might have been the double rates banner even with Gohan for Christmas. But I pulled my final copy to finally rainbow the Goku Black and Zamasu.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, it was like, okay, well, it's cool. They're finally rainbow. They were one of the first LRs that I ever sort of chased on their original banner because I'm a big fan of Goku Black and Zamasu in general. And yeah, it's like on the one hand, I finally got my last copy of them, but then on the other hand, it's like, but I don't ever use them anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely a couple of... This is what I've always said about EZAs. They should be used to make units that just don't get used anymore relevant again. And there's definitely a couple of LRs. And I'd kind of forgotten about them. That's how much I use them. But Goresh is spot on with Trunks and Goten, because they're another one that if you see them pop up nowadays in your legendary summon multis, you're just disappointed more than anything else.
You know, you said the 90% LRs need an EZA. Can we also throw into Bojack in there just because I know he's awesome already? But come on, y'all know you want to see it. Come on.
Actually,
Make
LR
his...
Super Saiyan 3
He'd be
Goku
insane.
needs one more.
Ugh. Oh, I'm glad I don't have that guy.
Dude, imagine
I used to love
Bojack's...
that card so much.
Imagine Bojack's super attack going up to team attack plus 50%.
When I'm looking at what LR or summonable LR I want to see EZ8, I'm looking at a unit like Goku and Frieza, where they have like one overwhelmingly powerful part of their kit, while the other part of their kit's just not powerful. And then sort of figuring out a way to make them a more well-rounded unit, whereas you don't really want to overpower them in that one area where they're already really good in.
So that's exactly why I said Broly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Beerus and Whis, I guess, could be one where they're just like super, super like hard to super attack with. So maybe you give them, maybe you just focus on like their key aspect when you EZA them, and you don't really touch anything else because they're already pretty good. Maybe defense too. Maybe like physical Bardock could really use one just because the Dokkan Fest one just completely makes him irrelevant almost at this point. So stuff like that, I think, that is what they're going to be focusing on more so than like, oh yeah, like we should EZA, you know, Vegeta and Nappa. Like, no, I don't think they need one right now.
Yeah.
Or
my question
like that.
is that what's going to happen with a card like in Super Saiyan 2 Gohan? Because the tech one is clearly the better one, and they unfortunately have the name problem.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do for something like that? Like,
Well,
what, you just turn him into a support unit or something like that? That doesn't make any sense for what
The
he already
tech one,
does.
because the tech one still has reasonable defense, especially after you've supered.
Right.
I feel like because of, I know they have very similar passives. I feel like the int one, they would just go all out, like make him this ridiculous, like hard hitting nuker, but he still has very bad defense.
The int one is not restricted to a Goku unit, though. Unlike the
That is
tech
also
one,
true.
It's very restricted to Goku.
But tech doesn't. You don't need Goku though. Tech Gohan even without a Goku, he does crazy damage. He's better defensively than the int one. Just, you know, it just so happens that, oh, by the way, if you happen to have a Goku on rotation with you, by the way, he's doing even more. So
Yeah, I've been very pleasantly surprised with him. I threw him onto the Super Saiyan 2 team under the Tech Vegeta, just as like a third slot floating unit, if you'd believe, for such a good unit. Even in that position, like, he functions perfectly fine. And I think one of the big things about that is the fact that he gets that extra key from the Orbs. So even in the third slot, like, it's not super hard to get his 18 key super. And then, like Talon was saying, even without a Goku, like a Movie Heroes Goku, even on the team at all, like, he's still hitting insanely hard when you get like his 18 key super, and then he follows it up with an additional. Like, his defense is still really good, so he's not at his most optimal, but you don't need a Goku on the team for him to still be good. It's just irritating sometimes when you can't get like the most out of a unit that you want because of a restriction.
All right, let's move on to the... Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, one more thing on this. I think after seeing Goku and Frieza get an EZA, there's really nothing that's off the table at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they could actually just come out and be like, okay, Int Goku Black is getting an EZA, the LR. And the only thing they're gonna improve upon is his defense, because actually you could argue that he does need the defensive help, and then they could just not touch anything else like that. They could come out and say that if they wanted to, and people would honestly be like, okay, cool, like that is just as outlandish as them coming out and saying Goku and Frieza is getting an EZA. So I mean, at this point, sure.
Because like they're an EZA for the LRs, their levels don't go up, so they don't get any extra stats in a traditional sense, but their SA going up to 25 already gives them a little bit of extra like attack power as well. So,
All right, let's move on to the next question brought to us by Aaron. Spelled weird. Aaron asks, where does Dokkan go from here regarding celebrating standards?
Celebrations stand, I think is what he wanted to say.
celebration standards.
Okay. Does every celebration have at minimum match the 6-year in terms of content to be considered a good celebration? How can Dokkan keep its hot streak going?
Well, first off, no celebration unless it's a big, anniversary or worldwide celebration is not going to have the same amount of stuff that we just had for year 6. That's never been the case. I think we're still going to see the standard Dokkan Fest, EZA, Chain Battle, World Tournament every now and then. I would hope that they would do, and unfortunately they haven't been very consistent with this, but I liked the celebrations where we saw the Dokkan Fest EZA in the beginning of the celebration with whatever new Dokkan Fest came out. And then I think it was like 2 weeks later after the Dokkan Fest banner dropped and the celebration started, we got the extra EZA with so for example, Kale and Khalifa, Topo, Dispo, doing those kind of things. I mean, we haven't seen that 6-unit EZA thing in such a long time. I miss things like that. I mean, there's obviously a ton of units besides Dokkan Fest stuff that need EZAs. And it's like, look, instead of making a single EZA for all these, because it's like, 30 stones, 30 stones, 30 stones, they're not going to do that all the time. Just do the 6-unit thing again where, you get the 30 stones, but guess what? That's it. By the way, you get to EZA all these other guys, though. Like, I really wish they'd keep doing that stuff. So I don't expect celebrations to really change that much, though.
Yeah, I don't think they need to keep, they don't need to be up to the standard of the 6-year, because obviously it was, it's the yearly anniversary. It's supposed to be the biggest one, but it's definitely, as we've already discussed in the episode, kind of shaken things up a little bit, just in the sense that now anything could be on the table. So something like we said before, something that I would quite like to see going forward is there is this possibility now that something that fits the theme of the celebration, even if it is like a summonable LR that's not that old, they suddenly get an EZA because it fits in with the theme. That kind of thing is now completely possible, and it doesn't have to happen for every single celebration, but I think that's one of the things that added to the hype levels, because if you look at things like the LR Roshi compared to the Zamasu in Goku's body, there's a lot of beats that were the same from the previous anniversary, but the things that really got people hyped up and talking about it was those things like the EZAs that we just didn't expect that came out. And that's the kind of stuff I think that they can keep doing to keep celebrations at that hype level, is things like dropping EZAs that we don't expect. Things like that is.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I'm the one who likes
people
the
most
Roshi
excited.
better than the Zamas in Goku's body.
Oh, he's way better. Same clothes.
I think he's way better.
The only thing I will say, in terms of, for me, what separates the 6th-year anniversary from the 5th-year anniversary is the whole God of Destruction event.
Yeah.
Because that is even more so than just adding more stages to SBR. This is a whole new way to play the game, right? The only thing I would say is negative about it is the fact that you're limited 3 times a day.
The 3-turn is definitely a negative.
Yeah. I mean, but there's 12 stages, so you're limited to 36 attempts a day on the event, which is nobody's really going to be doing that many attempts every single day.
The event itself is actually pretty good, aside from a few annoying things.
Do you
There are a couple
think
of
they will
gods,
change that? After the
I think
anniversary?
eventually they will.
I mean, they
so.
still
I think they will.
they still never changed Super Battle Road only being available at the weekend, which to me at this point I feel like makes no sense.
I was really hoping that they would take the opportunity to change that for this 6-year.
I just don't understand why. Even when it first came out, you could argue there's no reason why it should have been weekends only, and now this many years later, especially now that there are so many stages as well, it's just crazy to me that it's only on at the weekend.
All right, let's move on to the next question brought to us by Aviation Dokkan, who asks, when do you think the EX skill orbs will finally arrive? I'm pretty sure they've been in the data for quite a while now. It's highly unlikely that would be for the download celebration. Otherwise, why would they put it in the data so early on?
Not only was it in the data early on, it was officially announced in October. I think it was part of the app update news that basically broke down what the app update was for.
Yep.
And this was one of the things that was there. I think, again, either it was like October or November, and it's been in there since then, and they just haven't ever talked about it again. I believe the exact wording they used was coming in a future update or something like that. So I think this is probably something where they had initially planned to release this probably during the anniversary, and then they just, something obviously changed or something happened that they didn't expect, and then they had to delay it, because there's no reason to ever announce something that early and then not come out with it for so long. But if that's the case, then I really don't know if there's a way we can predict when this would come out, but hopefully soon, because I think the idea of being able to save your skill orbs from replacing them is a good thing. And now that they've already talked about this is coming out, guess what? People are just never going to replace their skill orbs because they know there's a way that they can save them now. So people are waiting for this.
I will say this real quick for global players, because JP, unless you haven't done it on JP yet, there are 2 missions for your precious 66 ticket for the LR where you actually have to put skill orbs into your characters. So there are a few bronze in there that if you don't care about them and everything, you're gonna have to do it. Just letting you know that, okay? So.
All right, and let's move on to the final question brought to us by Joel Wagner. Joe asks, since EZAs like Into UI Goku and LR Goku Frieza got early EZAs, is it likely that units older than them will be better when they get their EZAs? For example, could Physical Cooler be better than Into UI? Could LR
Yes.
Majin Vegeta be better than Goku Frieza?
Yes.
I mean, potentially. I guess the difference is how you determine whether they're better, because all the units work on different teams.
Yep.
They all fit into different scenarios. It's hard to say. I mean, Cooler, we've already talked about many times. Cooler, they don't even really need to do a lot. Just the extra levels and the SA levels will make him insanely good.
I mean, there's no possible conceivable way you can tell how good a unit is going to be depending on when they release, because Int Janemba got his EZ. How many units was Int Janemba better than that came out after him, in terms of their EZAs? Almost every single one. Same thing with Physical Vegeta Blue. So just because a unit gets their EZA later down the timeline of the game doesn't mean they're going to be better than the EZAs that came out before them.
Yeah, because what they need to focus on is making the EZA specific to that unit to strengthen the things that it needs to make it better. They're not necessarily focusing on how do we make this EZA better than the one that came out last month, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's very possible that Cooler could be better than Int UI in certain circumstances, and then obviously it's possible that he could be not as good in certain circumstances, but especially considering between those two characters in particular, they are obviously run on very different teams. So in a way, it almost kind of doesn't matter which one's better.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say Physical Cooler. For him, for example, he's gonna be better, I think personally, on a shorter event where you don't have UI Goku transformed. Obviously, that automatic dodge on someone like Into UI Goku is just amazing. It is. There's no way around it. The fact that they gave him auto dodging on the transforming turn, and especially if you're on a rotation where you have someone attacking or multiple opponents attacking all at the same time, you just put him in that slot. You're like, all right, I'm good to go. Don't even worry about anything, basically. So, they're always gonna be obviously better in different situations, obviously different teams and everything like that. UI Goku is, I think, arguably, or at least there is an argument to be made that he is the best Realm of Gods lead, in my personal opinion, because he works with most of the Sand-based characters on that team. Physical Beerus, I think, obviously he's still an awesome and amazing card and everything, but you have to build the team around him, whereas with UI Goku, he can be really good, or, okay, I can throw him off rotation, but guess what? He's finally not a liability anymore, and, he's actually good. So...
Yeah, I would agree that he's probably the best lead. Other than the only problem is obviously if you're someone who does have the STR LR, you then have to choose between them. But in terms of building out the rest of the team, what you said is exactly spot on, because Beerus or even Zamasu, if you're not going to build the team around having them on main rotation, and you want to build a very Saiyan heavy team, they just don't really work as third slot floating units. Whereas obviously UI Goku will, because he has like prepared for battle and over in a flash, which basically the whole of the rest of the team is going to have if you're using like the blue fusions and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Plus, not to mention, we talked about this last time, was, you said if you have STR with the int one, you've always got to pick and everything. But at the same time, if you flip-flop it, you can also say that int almost makes people using the coins to get STR UI Goku almost pointless unless you A, are collecting, or B, you've got him rainbowed. Because obviously STR UI Goku is better when he's rainbowed and everything. But if you don't have STR and it's like, I have int rainbowed at level 10 links and everything like that, compared to, do I grab my first copy of STR? I don't know. It's a pretty hard argument to say, like, really? I don't think you really need to, honestly.
Yeah, and that's why, easy A's of these older units that share the same name as newer versions of these units devalue the newer versions, because you just are, most of the time, are going to have more accessible. The older ones are going to be more accessible to people, right?
Right.
So it's just that at the end of the day, it's lowering the value of the new units because the power level gap between them is just become significantly lower. So.
Yep.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this week's show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Huge thank you to Hydros for manning the boards and keeping the stream afloat. Don't forget to follow us over on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, the subreddit, everywhere. Make sure you guys are fully locked in to the 59G network today. And if you miss any part of the show, fear not. All of your favorite podcasting platforms have you covered. Google, Apple, Spotify, many more. Subscribe and do not skip a beat. Join us right here tomorrow for our next episode of the Dragon Ball Legends podcast. For the Masked Ningen, Talon, Goresh, and Kensei, I'm Toon Rami. Thank you once again for watching. Stay tuned and always remember to Dokkan responsibly. Bye-bye.